a new legal roadblock tonight in the deepening political standoff in Rivers State. The Chief Judge, Simeon Chibuzo Amadi, has declined a request from the State House of Assembly to set up a 7-member panel to investigate allegations of gross misconduct against Governor Sim Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odu. In a letter dated January 20th to the Speaker, Martin Amerule, the Chief Judge cited an interim injunction issued by the State High Court, an order that effectively freezes the impeachment process just as lawmakers moved to activate it. The decision sharpens the constitutional tension between the legislature and the judiciary, raising critical questions about due process, separation of powers, and where this high-stakes political confrontation now goes next. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by Arise Politics Editor and Director of News, Sambo. Sambo, good to see you.
Thank you so much, Charles.
Thank you very much indeed. Just take us through the sequence of events. Why exactly did the Chief Judge decide this, and why?
Well, the House of Assembly is seeking to bring to the fore Section 188 of the 1999 Constitution, which outlines the procedures for impeaching a state governor, and they had written to the Chief Judge to actually constitute this panel, and from there the panel will have to sit for 3 months. It has 3 months, but it mustn't sit for 3 months for it to conclude, and of course it will have to hear from all parties. But there's one process that I keep saying that had been challenging, if indeed that process was not skipped in this process, because we have to be rational and not emotional about this. Now, if you read Section 188, it clearly states that once the Speaker of the State House of Assembly receives a notice, and eventually he looks at it and he thinks it's okay, and he admits the notice, then he then writes to the governor, and maybe in this instance the deputy governor, and then the governor and deputy governor, having received officially this document, will have to write back, attending to all the issues, allegations raised against him, and maybe the deputy governor, and from there the document received back, or the feedback received from the governor and the deputy, or the governor alone, whichever, will then have to be circulated back to the House of Assembly members, and if they are okay with the reply, it ends there, and if they are not okay with the reply, then this other process will come in place. And that's where a lot of people are saying that it looks like, number one, the governor did not acknowledge receiving it, and number two, there's no reply from the governor back. So has that been skipped, or is it okay? And then why did the Speaker then jump directly to writing the Chief Judge? And the Chief Judge, having looked at this, took a rational decision. And we still have men of integrity in this country, but don't forget that's also a state that could easily be manipulated by political players, because that's what Nyesom Wike has been accusing Governor Fubara of doing too, because he appoints the Chief Judge, and in this instance there's a tendency for him to actually have an overbearing influence. But in this instance, whatever action was taken by the Chief Judge, through what's called lis pendens, that's to inform the Speaker and his members that there still is subsisting court order, is actually the right thing to be done.
Indeed. And with the Chief Judge declining to set up this panel, what options, if any, does the Rivers State House of Assembly now have?
A political option. And I'm thinking, just like a whole lot of political analysts have been thinking, that this is actually like an arrangement to provide a soft ground for all the parties. And so they knew that this was going to hit a brick wall, and Abuja is actually pushing forward to say, look, we wouldn't, in our own period as the governing party of Nigeria, allow a sitting governor, nonetheless the governor of Rivers State, to be impeached. Yes, because Rivers State is a very key player in the determinant of the presidents that are elected in Nigeria. We have about 4 to 5 states that are very strategic. You have Lagos, you have Rivers, you have Delta, you have, of course, all of that state way up to Kaduna and all of that, Kano, and so on. Now, in this instance, PDP has been ruling Rivers State since 1999, and all opposition parties that have come on board, including the CPC to the ACM, they've always courted Rivers State, because once you get that, You have some financial power. You will have governors who will go out there. It has a voting population and all of that. It's a key player, a key determinant. And it's not by mistake that we've seen the previous River State governors, starting from Odili to Amechi to Wike, have always played a crucial role at the center. That's because of the basket of votes, the basket of finances and other support that they bring to the governing parties.
So a big prize for the APC.
Yeah, so now the APC didn't win this through the ballot or anything. The governor just walked into the party. And for you to now want to lose this key political player in determining
and so close to the election.
Yeah, so close to the election. I mean, I'm thinking that this is the ground that the president may have, through the back channel, told all parties to go through, and this is the opportunity for a definite resolution now, because the president would actually have to come out and say, look, I'm close to the election, it's either both parties take this or not. And I can tell you that in one way or the other, he wouldn't want to do anything that will hurt his vote.
Right.
Because the president is looking for votes. He wants to ensure that he closes in on the south-south, the southeast, and the southwest, and then quickly go into the middle belt or the north-central geopolitical zone, close it, and then have 25% in the northeast and the northwest, and then he goes home.
Right.
So who would want to engage in this political harakiri or political suicide?
Indeed. And has there been any response from Governor Fubara to this development, or perhaps from his camp?
Well, nothing really for now. But don't forget, I mean, if you are fair, you also understand that this process may have had political undertones. Because look, on the 16th, when this issue, got to the court, the timing of when this motion got to the court, when this prayer went to the court and all of that, it was hastily done. And I'm wondering why Amerile and others are not actually taking a look at when this case was filed, which was around 9 a.m. and all of that. And then by 12, there was already an ex parte order. So also, the National Judicial Council has warned courts to stop issuing ex parte orders because they are being used politically against opponents. Could this have been the case? Now, if this case were to go to a federal high court, could the governor have got this ex parte order?
Yeah.
Because we've seen high court and state high courts, issuing, different orders, both from the same court of coordinate jurisdiction.
Right. So
it's a dicey situation.
So, briefly, how does this decision fit into the broader political power struggle currently playing out in River State? In other words, where does this leave Nyesom Wike?
Now, in all of this, it gives room for more negotiation by Nyesom Wike. I think this is the time for him to come out, subject himself to what Abuja wants, and see how he could cut a better deal. Because it's obvious right now that Abuja doesn't want Fubara to be impeached, and that's why you keep hearing the governor, giving thanks, commending President Bola Tinubu and all of that. President Tinubu is a former governor. Why he doesn't tolerate what Fubara is doing to Nyesom Wike, but nonetheless, because of his own second term, he would want to play a game that actually favors him, not Nyesom Wike, because we're getting close to the primaries, and Wike is also afraid that if the governor does get his second term ticket, he would actually be smoked out of River State. We've seen this happening over and over. So there has to be some presidential guarantees that could be given to Nyesom Wike if he subjects himself and brings himself to the table to actually see how he can ease himself out of this. Because the president actually wants these votes. And I don't think that the structures that Wike has right now will actually guarantee more of those kind of votes that the president would want. The president is thinking that as a governor, as a sitting governor, Fubara still controls some sort of leverage at the grassroots, but the structures are in the hand of Wike. But those structures could actually be dismantled too, because there are still several cases that are out there. And for example, the local government chairmen who are in the hands of Nyesom Wike, they are all in the APC. A presidential order through the party's national chairman could actually alter the game. And if all the governors, if all the local government chairmen provide their support for the governor based on Abuja's directive, and not Nyesom Wike, what will Wike be banking on? Because they're all in the APC. And some of the State House of Assembly members, very quickly, we still hear that they have not fully declared for the APC. They don't have registered membership of the APC. So people are still asking, is it that Nyesom Wike is still asking some of his members to hold back? Maybe they could go back to a PDP or something like that. So it's a whole potpourri, and I think Martin Amerile should actually know where the signals are coming from this time around as the speaker. And then the chief judge And judges in Rivers State and elsewhere should just stay on the ball, and which is to ensure that democracy is protected. And in this stance, the people must not be shortchanged. Section 188 is very clear. If any of them breach it, I can tell you that the higher cost will actually cause an uproar.
Right. Sambo, thank you very much indeed. Sounds absolutely